Well, those are the cars, the third, fourth, and fifth place battle back in the pack, and, you know, they realize that Earnhardt has moved away, and they're not really that concerned. I know there probably are going to be quite a few caution flags today, so they're going to willing to sit back and conserve their cars. Earnhardt now going by lap traffic. One car sliding up in front of Earnhardt. He weaves his way around, but they're not too concerned. Maybe Earnhardt can use the car up early, and maybe he'll be gone and won't last 300 miles.
Rich Brenner is standing down on pit road now in the Dale Earnhardt pit. Let's go down to Rich.
We are standing in the pit with Dale Earnhardt's crew chief, Kurt Selmadine. And Kurt, this is a very fine run for you fellas today so far. Are you surprised with the big lead you've got this early in the race?
Well, a little bit. We'll get a couple of cautions and the other cars get some pit stops. It ought to even up a little bit. But we get a chance to adjust on the car.
Seems like almost a foolish question to ask, but is the car handling perfectly, or is there something you can do to make it better?
He says he's pretty good right there.
Okay, thank you. That's it with Dale Earnhardt's pit crew.
I tell you, I really like Kirk Shelmerdine. He is one of the most easygoing, laid-back guys I've ever met in my life. Nothing throws him. Whether Dale Earnhardt is 3 seconds in front of the field or about to get lapped, he always remains cool.
He's got a heck of a poker face, doesn't he? He really can bluff you. I've talked to him a number of times during the races, and he doesn't really let you know what's going on in the pits. You know, you really have to sort of guess when you talk to him, but he's a cool person to have behind pit wall. You know, Earnhardt, certainly a cool customer here. He's won here in Charlotte back in '83. He won the Winn-Dixie 300, and he'd like to win here today. He's never won this race, the Charlotte 300 in the fall, and he would like to win it today.
And I talked to Dale earlier in the week, and he said he really wants to win here. He thinks it would just really be something for him to be able to win both of the Grand National races. That is Robert Ingram Jr., car number 1. That car has already seen a lot of duty today. He had to run the qualifying race just to make the field, and it appears he's having a lot of problems getting that car up to power.
Well, the car now moving slowly down pit road. Robert Ingram, one of the late model stock car competitors that's been so competitive up around the Richmond, Virginia area, the Southside Speedway, now makes an unscheduled stop.
And the hood goes up on that car, and it looks like it's going to be a long day for Robert Ingram, but he does have the satisfaction of finishing in the top 4 in the qualifying race earlier today and is able to get in the field. Dale Earnhardt is your leader as we have completed 26 laps. Glenn Jarrett is down on pit road. Let's go down to Glenn now.
Okay, I'm checking on the family interest here. I'm in the pits of Dale Jarrett talking to crew chief John Irvin. John, I know it wasn't in your plans early on in this race to fall this far off the pace. Is there a problem with the car?
Glenn, the only problem we got right now is we started the race a little bit tight, and the car is pushing right much in the corner, and we'll get a chance. We're going to make a chassis adjustment as soon as we get in here.
Well, obviously, though, later on you're going to need for that car to be tight because the racetrack will probably get slick. In other words, you were trying to key the car for later on in the race. It's just gotten you behind early on.
That's true, but we really need a caution flag, and for not to be us to make adjustment here because we lose so much time to Earnhardt now leading the race.
Okay, that's the story from Dale Jarrett's pit.
You know, I think some of the stories of the crew chiefs on pit road today are just as interesting as some of the drivers, and the crew chief of Dale Jarrett's car is a real interesting story.
You know, John Irvin was a crew chief for Dale's father, Ned Jarrett, when Ned was a 2-time national champion. And when Ned retired, John retired. John became a service station owner up around the Hickory, North Carolina area, and he waited for young Dale to come out and start making his way in the racing world. And when Dale wanted to go full-time Busch Grand National, John said, okay, I'm selling the service station. I'm going to be right there in the pits just like I was with your dad. We're going to make it to the top, and we're going after it. So there's John Irvin. That's quite a story. 20 years ago, he was a crew chief for his dad, and now he's back with the son.
We are now working lap 30 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. You see the battle for third. Right now, third place owned by car 17. That is Darrell Waltrip. 30 laps under green. When will we start seeing green flag pit stops and these cars have to come in for fuel?
Well, there's a couple of combinations we got to be concerned with. The V8s can go probably around 68 laps, a little over 100 miles. The V6s don't get quite the gas mileage, and the primary reason is they have a little bit bigger carburetor. They run up to an 850 cubic foot per minute carburetor, so they will use a little more gas. They're a little more thirsty. They probably will run about 62 laps for their first fuel stop.
Well, right now we have completed 30 laps, all of them under green. It's been a good, clean race, and Dale Earnhardt is way out in front. Let's take a look at the leaderboard now. Earnhardt with a large lead over L.D. Ottinger, and then it is another couple seconds back to Darrell Walter, Brett Bodine, Jeff Bodine, and also in that group running 6th now is Bill Elliott. That's through 30 laps, and we will run 200 to make up the Charlotte 300 here in this Grand National race this afternoon. Charlotte right after these messages from your local road.
Unscheduled pit stop early for Bill Elliott. Elliott on pit road. There's the Crisco Buick, and the Ed Whitaker crew will go underneath the hood on the Elliott car, and what a day for Elliott. I mean, you just can't buy any good luck. The Whitaker team can't. The car had run so well and come from 22nd starting spot up into the top 6.
And he had just moved into 5th place on the racetrack. He had passed Davey Allison, but apparently something went sour on the engine. Elliott in the 88 car is down on pit road. The hood is up. We'll try to get one of our pit reporters down there in a moment to see what the problem is on the Bill Elliott car. But it doesn't look like a good day at all now for Bill Elliott.
The 30-year-old redhead, set a motorsports record for earnings last year at $2.4 million. It probably will be for a long time before anyone will come close to earning that kind of money in competition. He was hoping to have a good race today. And Ed Whitaker, what a nice guy in this Busch Grand National Series. So many drivers have been with him. He's taken so many youngsters and made them what they are today in Busch Grand National competition, and he was hoping to maybe come back one more time and have a good finish. But the car still sits in the pits. But Earnhardt having his way, and there's the battle back in the pack. As Darrell Waltrip, Brett Bodine, and now Davey Allison, the veteran and 2 young drivers, dicing it up back there for 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot.
Okay, that's your battle. That's your battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. And Brett Bodine is right in the middle of it. Jeff Bodine now is running 6th in the Levi Garrett number 15 car. Also beginning to make a little move is Jack Ingram. We haven't talked about him since the start of the race. This is his first race back, and I'm not sure whether he was cautious at the beginning or what, but Ingram apparently has decided that he'd like to try to move his way up a little bit. He is the leader of the 2nd pack of cars. Larry Pearson is right behind him. And another call we have to make to a guy who has really come on, as you see Ingram there and Larry Pearson. Right behind them is Donnie Allison in car 23, who has really moved up through the field. Donnie started 37th today, had to qualify in the race earlier this morning. He won that race and has now apparently got car number 23 dialed in, as he is now right behind Larry Pearson and Jack Ingram.
Well, Larry Pearson and Jack Ingram, you see on your screen, Ingram in the green and white New World car, Pearson behind him. And Ingram, he has not been feeling well this week. We understand he had a little bit of a stomach virus, and I talked to some of the crew members down there before the race, and they said there's a possibility if he doesn't feel well, we may have Harry Gant standing by in the pits and put Harry in the car. And particularly if Jack can't get the job done, he's a chance to win that $25,000, plus the fact the point battle is up for grabs, and that could be about $60,000 to win the championship. So if Jack doesn't feel well, we may have to consider that they may bring him in and put Gant in the car to finish this Charlotte 300.
We might mention that Harry Gant drove this number 11 car in one of those races that Jack Ingram was suspended. Glenn Jarrett has made his way down now to the Bill Elliott pit. Let's go down to pit road and see what the problem was on the Elliott car.
Okay, the problem with Bill Elliott's car, the ignition just simply went dead all at once. The engine just cut dead. They cannot get the car to fire again. They have pushed it behind the wall to try and see if they can repair the problem. At this point, though, they have lost so much time in the race that they're going to be way, way behind, pretty much killing Bill's chances to win the race. Bill is in the car right now. We'll see if we can get a word with him. Bill, a real good run early on there. What happened to the car?
It just started messing, like something wrong with the ignition.
Are you going to try to fix it and get back in?
I don't know what they're going to try to do.
Bill is as much in the dark as we are right now, but he said the car just started missing and cut off, and that was it.
We might mention that Bill's in a different situation in this car than he is in his Winston Cup ride, which is the Coors 4 Thunderbird, which he helps work on and set up. He is strictly the driver today for that car.
Well, he is. He had bad luck earlier in the year. He sat on the outside pole at Road Atlanta. The only previous start he's had in this Busch competition at Grand National for 86. He sat on the outside front row and had a good run going. In fact, running in the top 5 with just 5 laps to go when the shifter broke off in his hand. And he ended up finishing, he coasted around and finished 11th, but you can't run a road course if you can't change gears, so he ended up finishing 11th there. And he said, well, maybe I can come at Charlotte and we'll make up for that. You and me and Ed Whitaker and all the guys will have a good run here, but it looks like it's going to go up in smoke today.
We have Dale Earnhardt has really shot out to a lead. This seems incredible. He leads the second place car, LD Ottinger, about 9.7 seconds. There you see Larry Pollard on the inside, and passing him on the outside, that's the 85 car. Bobby Allison, boy, is he making a move as Donnie Allison has slowed down a bit. Bobby Allison, who has had some tough luck on this Grand National circuit, and races have passed. But you got to know Bobby Allison. He loves to get out on any kind of race, any kind of surface, anytime, anywhere. And he's given that 85 car a good ride today.
Well, Bobby has started 5 times this year on the Grand National competition. His best run coming up at Indianapolis Raceway Park, a half-mile track up in Indianapolis, Indiana. There's another track up there, too. I think there's Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
That's right, yeah.
And he finished 6th up there as Mike Bonicelli makes an unscheduled stop early on in the car number 19. But we talked about Bobby Allison won here at Charlotte back in May of '84, so that was his last win on the Busch Grand National Tour. And he's not really faring that well today. He's sort of out there trying to hang on. That's a Jimmy Horton car. He sort of drives it for Horton and tries to put it up toward the front, but they've had their trouble.
It really is not a car that is expected to finish in the top 3 or 4 today. But if you know Bobby Allison, you know he's going to get every possible thing out of that car that he absolutely can today. Right now, your leader still Dale Earnhardt, a 9.7-second lead over the rest of the field. Is that not surprising to you, Jerry Punch?
It really isn't for Earnhardt. You know, he is such a charger, and he loves to charge. You know, we talked about his point battle for the Winston Cup competition, and he is certainly not one to lay back and hold off there. He goes for it all.
Dale Earnhardt on the point of this race. If nothing breaks, it really looks like it's going to be car number 8's day. But in a race like this, anything can happen.
If you're in the armed forces
Race, the field's kind of strung out a little bit. 51 laps are complete here in the Charlotte 300. You're taking a look at the black and silver car of Dale Earnhardt, car number 8, as he slides by yet another racer. And Earnhardt has been done nothing but pass cars all day long today. Dale Earnhardt out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. His wife, Teresa, owns the car, and he says that all the winnings go to her. He never sees the money.
I would imagine, yeah. You know, Earnhardt has had 10 starts, and this is the 11th start this year in Busch competition in Grand National Racing. He's had 4 wins, 3 second places, 1 third in 10 starts. That isn't too bad. In fact, he's led every single race he's entered in Grand National Racing for 86, so there's no doubt he's a competitor. There's the battle back in the pack, Mike.
Well, Brett Bodine now seems to content to just hang in behind Darrell Waltrip and let Darrell Waltrip lead him around this racetrack. Waltrip is in 3rd place. Brett Bodine now is in 4th, and in 5th place is the 28 car of Davey Allison. A good run today for Brett Bodine and for Ellie Ottinger, but Brett Bodine especially, younger brother of Jeff, and trying to prove himself as a good driver in his own right. And I think he's really done that this year on the Busch Grand National Circuit.
Well, I think Brett is really going to school on Darrell Waltrip. He's watching how Waltrip drives a racetrack. He knows how successful Waltrip has been over the years, and he knows the guy in front of him has 12 years of driving experience on him. Waltrip is 39 years old, Bodine is 27, and those two guys are sort of, you know, Bodine wants to watch Darrell Waltrip. Meanwhile, scheduled pit stops are the order of the day. Here is L.D. Ottinger in the All-Pro car, number 2 in the pits. Elvin Rector and the crew go to work and change right side tires on the Ottinger car as they are down on pit road. It'll be the first green flag stop.
Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
Okay, Ottinger's car is in. They have it jacked up. They're changing right side tires. One of the crew members told me that he was having a little problem. The car was a little too tight, so they tried to make a stagger adjustment on the tires. One of the problems with making a green flag stop is you don't have time to make a chassis adjustment other than changing tire staggers. The LD's down and away. It was a pretty good pit stop, but they don't have the time to make the adjustments that they would like to make normally under a pit stop.
Well, Jerry, since we're getting ready to see a rash of pit stops here in a moment, let's talk about the pit crews. They've made such a difference all year long on the Winston Cup and the Busch Grand National Circuit. The experience of the pit crew. Some of these guys have Winston Cup crews working for them today, and here's where it really pays off in these green flag stops.
That's right, under green. In fact, one driver, Davey Allison, has a good bit of the Harry Renier, J.T. Lundy crew. Will be his crew on the Winston Cup Tour next year. Joey Knuckles, the crew chief, is down there along with the veteran Red Farmer, and they will be changing tires for Allison. That may be an advantage, not so much under caution, but under green, where a second or two is so important while they're out there running 160 miles an hour. That really can cost them some racetrack. So the All-Pro crew, the crew for L.D. Ottinger, is mostly a Busch Grand National regular crew. They had a pretty good stop, though, a little over 15.5 seconds for 2 tires.
One thing we want to watch is Dale Earnhardt, who is now moving up on Tommy Houston. We talked with Tommy Houston before. He ran so well in practice yesterday. Earnhardt now on the bumper of Houston, trying to put Houston a lap down as they come now into turn 3. Earnhardt goes high on the racetrack, and he is going to slide by Houston. Unless Houston is going to come down on pit road, he is not, and Earnhardt will put Tommy Houston a lap down. And you know, when Dale is putting the guy who's running as well as Tommy Houston another lap down, that things are going his way.
Well, Houston, the 9th place car, and now Earnhardt will begin to make a move. The car just in front of Earnhardt is Larry Pearson, the 8th place car. He goes by Larry like Larry threw out an anchor over in turn 2, and now off of 2, Earnhardt is really setting sail. It's, you know, I've got to wonder, he probably wants to stay out as long as he can, but he may not push it too long. He's got a V6, and remember, the V6s don't get quite the fuel mileage the V8s get, so I've got to be concerned. They may want to bring him in maybe this time or next time by, because if he runs out of fuel here, he can, that one lap advantage over many cars can evaporate very quickly.
Dale Earnhardt and only 8 other cars are now on the lead lap. The end of the lead lap now is Jack Ingram in car number 11. He is the next car that Dale Earnhardt will set his sights on. Again, we have completed 57 laps. We'll run 200 today. That makes up the Charlotte 300 miles. It's a mile and a half around this Charlotte Motor Speedway. And Dale Earnhardt has owned every inch of this mile and a half so far today.
You know, he really has. He said that he wanted to come here and he wanted to dominate like Tim Richmond did back in May, and certainly he has done that in the first 57 laps here today. Earnhardt has been the dominant car. There's a couple of cars now rim riding. So there is the battle back in the pack for, that's the 2nd and 3rd place car. That's Waltrip and Brett Bodine. They realize how strong Earnhardt is. They may be saying, well, when is this guy going to pit so we can get a chance to get in ourselves and get some tires and maybe have a chance of running him down. They probably would like to see a yellow flag so they can tighten the field up a little bit and get up and maybe even see Earnhardt again.
It is very unusual to see one driver like Dale Earnhardt is doing today just completely blow the rest of the field away. We haven't seen this in a long time. Brad Teague is down on pit road now in car number 75.
This will be a scheduled stop for Brad Teague in that Food Country car. That's a Pontiac coming to stop, and that's a regular crew, a Grand National crew. They jack the car up. You're only allowed to use the one jack. You can use 2 air impact wrenches down there for the pit stop. They have the right side tires off. The guy leaning in the window there is not just tapping the guy on the shoulder. He's actually adjusting the weight in the right rear of the car, changing the weight distribution. You heard Ben Jarrett mention how tight some of the cars were to start with. Teague's car down about 22 seconds, a little longer than you would expect from a pit stop from a regular Winston Cup crew, but these guys don't make pit stops on the green very often, so on Super Speedway, so they aren't that experienced. Teague now moving back on the Speedway.
Brad Teague, who was out of Johnson City, Tennessee, is getting his car back up to speed on the